And I was just like, oh my goodness. She says, why? And it's the why was just like it was almost like a primal like cry. It was so intense. It was so perfect. The coaches were absolutely losing their mind.
These my dollars make it hurt.
Hello, welcome to the Pitchy Podcast. My name is Stephanie. I am your host for today. My amazing host, James, could not be here this time, but hopefully he will be here sooner rather than later. For now, I am happy to hold down the fort. Here on the Pitchy Podcast, we are passionate about good music and a great vocal. We will use the vehicle of NBC's The Voice to give you our takes on each contestant. We'll give our feedback on their voice and their overall performance. So today, what we are going to do in the realm of NBC's The Voice is we are going to do part 4 of a series that we have been doing, which has been really, really fun. It is our Who Did It Best, part 4. We have all of these songs that have kind of been recycled and reused from season to season on NBC's The Voice. And a lot of the performances have been absolutely outstanding. So we thought that we'd take some of these songs and see who did it best. Which performer or performance do we think did the song the best? So this is, again, part 4 of this series that we're doing. If you'd like to catch parts 1 through 3, just go ahead and check on our season 6, the Pitchy Podcast playlist, or just go ahead and scroll down on the listing of our videos, and you will see all of our videos for this series there. And I also just want to remind you that we are on Patreon, which is going to prove very, very beneficial once the next season of The Voice starts at the end of September. But even still, we have ongoing content and ongoing bonus exclusive content, even at the end of these videos of who did it best. We have bonus material and content for our Patreons. Even now. So right down below, you will see the description for or the link for Patreon, and it will also be down in the description. So go ahead and check us out on Patreon, because if you like us on Patreon now, or if you think that it's interesting that we're doing Patreon now, wait until we get into the season of The Voice. So I don't want to waste any more time. Without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get started with our 3 songs. The first is Call Out My Name by The Weeknd. For this particular song, we have 3 different artists that we are going to go through who have done this song. This is one of my favorite songs that The Voice does, or that is presented on The Voice. Here are our 3 artists. I'll run down them quickly, and then I will go back to the top and we'll go through them one by one. The first is Brittany Bree. The next is Kique. And last, we have Kiara Vega. Let's go back up and start with Brittany Bree. Brittany Bree was a season 21 artist, and she did this for her blind audition.
I want you to stay. I want you to stay. And though you don't want me, why can't you stay?
This was just plain old grown A woman singing. This was like a grown A woman rendition of this song with a definite gospel leaning to it. There are just some things texturally and some melodic choices that if you have been to Black church, you have heard it before. And that's what this song sounded like. There were so many come on choice moments in the song. It was ridiculous. Her physical and vocal presence made me think that she is either a worship leader at her church or was like one of the lead soloists of the choir. There are things that you see in Black church, the way the way an artist leans, the way that they comport their body. It's like, oh, you've been in church. You've been in church. There was a moment in the song It's within the chorus, and it says, "Why don't you wait?" In Brittany Bree's performance, there was a moment where she was like, "What?" And I was just like, "Oh my goodness." She says, "Why?" And it's the why was just like it was almost like a primal like cry. It was so intense. It was so perfect. The coaches were absolutely losing their mind. This was a season where there was Kelly, Ariana Grande, John Legend, Kelly Clarkson, and Blake. They lost their minds, and so did I. She literally, like we say sometimes, like an artist takes a song to church. She took it to church. She took it to afternoon service. She took it to taking it down the road to the church next door and doing an evening service at the other church. She took this song to church, and it was absolutely outstanding. This is one of those clips that I watch like once every couple months because I just need to see it. It makes me so happy. So, and she was a 4-chair turn. So that was Brittany Bree. The next artist is Kique. Kique was a season 22 artist, our inaugural season of the Pitchy podcast, and he did Call Out My Name as an instant save.
Call out my name. Call out my name when I kiss you so gently. I want you to stay. I want you to stay, though you don't want me.
Now, his instant save performance was unique in that Kique had COVID at the time. And so, although he could still sing, he had to do his instant save in a solo studio all by himself, which could have made the performance not be as impactful because it's not in front of an audience. No. To say I have watched this performance an unhealthy amount of times is a huge understatement. It is a masterclass of male vocal, in my opinion. It's a masterclass of emoting, in my opinion. Kique's voice sounds like a young Michael McDonald. And there's such depth, there's such quality, there's such incredible skill and come on choice to his voice that is well beyond his years. At this point, Kique was probably like 20, 19, 20, 21 at the oldest, I think. And it was just insane the way that he could emote. It was insane the way that he could sing this song with the passion that he sang it. It was so insane that he could use runs, use his vibrato in just the right way to make this song so impactful, especially in the scenario that he was, where he's in a studio by himself, and like the studio was dark, and it was like it was just an interesting vibe, but his vocal and his performance completely took over and completely captivated me, at least to the point that I rewatched this video tons and tons. Kique was probably one of my favorite voices on The Voice point blank period since we have been watching for the past few seasons regularly. And his performance of this song in particular was just completely outstanding. And then you have our last artist that I want to talk about, and that is Kiara Vega. Kiara Vega was from season 26 of NBC's The Voice, and she sang the song for her knockout.
Well, why can't you wait? Why can't you wait till I fall out of loving? Babe, call out my name.
Kiara was low-key brilliant. And so understated. Her presence on the stage was not largely dynamic. She was just so chill and so cool. She gave me Rihanna vibes in her presence and in her tone. She had one of the richest most gorgeous alto voices that I have heard on this show. And every choice that Kiara made in this song was correct. She had this beautiful vibrato at the end of her lines. She had, once you got to the chorus where it says call out my name, holleration to the point where it was just like all this is coming out of this very slight young lady. Like she was not a big person at all, but it was almost startling how much her voice soared. What she also had though was this really cool grit and growl a little bit in her voice, which was super unexpected. Kiara has this incredible pop R&B blend that was just incredible. Yeah, she's one of these artists where if you don't watch her performance, because she's not outwardly expressive at all, but if you just listen to the vocal, you're like, why is she not signed? Like, why does she not have a huge career? It's one of the more shocking performances that I've ever seen, because it's like everything that she's doing is so on point. And the most impactful part of this performance was at the end, because it kind of, after her vocal being really big for the chorus, it comes down where the lyrics say, I'll be on my way. And the last line of that song that she sang, the melodic choices that she did literally made Snoop Dogg, who was one of the coaches that season, like shiver. And I understood why, because she just kind of left you wanting for more. Like the way that she ended it was so absolutely stunning. So those are our three artists. We have Brittany Bree, Kique, and Kiara. I really don't know. Like on any given day, it could be any of these folks who are the winner. It is so difficult for me to pick a winner for this particular one. I'm going to say Kique, just because of the sheer amount that I've watched this performance. I can't pick anybody else fairly without thinking about the amount of times that I watched this performance. And he was also at a deficit because he was not singing in front of anybody. He was just singing in a studio by himself. And for him to make that kind of impact on his own, I'll give Kique the win for this one. But Brittany Bree and Kiara, outstanding, outstanding performances. So the next song that I want to talk about is White Horse by Chris Stapleton. Now, this is one of them sneaky Chris Stapleton songs that I hadn't heard until The Voice. And then once I heard it, I was like, okay, I need this in my veins. I need to hear this song daily. It is an outstanding song by an outstanding artist, Mr. Chris Stapleton. So the two artists that we're going to be looking at for this performance or this song is Iris Herrera and Josh Sanders. So let's start with Iris. Iris was a season 27 artist, and she sang the song as her playoff. Iris's voice has the grit and the growl that is appropriate for this song in part. She has the holleration that is appropriate for this song in part. And she has this country tone in her voice that is appropriate for this song all over. We always said about Iris as we reviewed her in season 27 that she had a very Miley Cyrus tone in her voice, especially when Miley leans more into the countryside of things. This is a high octane song with a high octane chorus, and Iris was up for the challenge. This performance really lets you know what you would get from Iris if you were to see her perform live, which was really cool to see. She is an absolutely dynamic performer, and the intensity that she brought, the passion that she brought was evident. My only thing about this song, and this is not for all songs, but it's interesting sometimes when females sing songs written and sung by male artists, and the flip, when males sing a song that was sung or written by, or especially was performed by a female artist. So for this song, it was an interesting choice to me because although she sold it and performed it well, when you get the full picture of what the song is talking about, it really fits better on a man singing it. Like the whole Prince coming in on a white horse is very male speaking of a female directed, and while that doesn't have to necessarily be the case, that's just kind of like the imagery that you get when you hear this song. So it's interesting to hear a female sing it. But saying all that, she performed the heck out of the song and it sounded really good on her throat. Now we're going to talk about Josh Sanders. Josh Sanders was a season 25 artist, and he did the song for his semifinals, which means he sang it all the way live.
If you want a cowboy on a white horse, ride it off into the sunset. That's the kind of love you wanna wait for. Hold on tight, girl, I ain't there yet.
Playoffs are not live, but I don't think that there was a lot of editing or production tweaks on Iris's voice, just to be clear. But this performance by Josh was all the way live. I really loved Josh's approach to the song because in the verses, his vocal was really bright and really clean. It was like a clean, country, bright vocal during the verses. And then once he got into the chorus, that's where he added the grit and growl in his voice. And I thought that that was executed really well because once you get to the chorus, that's where it's really high octane and really passionate. That's where we want the holleration and the runs. And that's what we got from Josh, especially once he got into the second verse, the way that he was placing his phrases and the way that he was back phrasing just a little bit as he was singing the lyrics. It was coming like, it felt like, take your time with this verse, brother. Take your time. Just like I said about Iris, this felt like what you would get from a Josh live show. And I felt like every portion of the arrangement of the song was intentional. There was when she went into the last set of choruses, the first one was a band break, which is where all the instruments are out except for the drums. I thought that was really, really cool, a really cool part of the arrangement. And then and then after that part, all the band was all in. So it was all high octane again. This performance was absolutely incredible. And it's like, you didn't know whether Josh was like a really talented country artist or like your local pastor who could really sing. That's the vibe he was given, but the vocal was outstanding. And the whole arrangement around the song was really, really, really well done. So if I had to pick a winner for this one, I would have to pick Josh. And I think it's more about the full story of the song, the full journey that he took, how it started, what it was like in the middle, and how it ended. There were so many intentional things that I could pick out that I knew were intentional because they fit the vocal or the tone or the choice fit where he was in the song so well that I knew it had to be intentional. Iris gave an incredible performance of the song, but for me, Josh was the winner. I forgot to say this for Call Out My Name, but I'm going to say it for White Horse and the next song that we're going to talk about too. Please remember to tell me in the comments whether you agree, whether you disagree, who your winners would be. Let me know in the comments. So our very last song that we're going to do is one of my favorite all times. This is one of these songs that I grew up with. And I love that I was able to discuss it for this series because we had two really outstanding performances of it. So the song is Can We Talk? It's by Tevin Campbell. We have two artists that we're going to discuss. The first is Desz. The second is Justin Aaron. So let's start with Desz. Desz was a season 19 artist, and she did the song for her Knockout.
Give me just one more chance for love.
Oh my word. So the most incredible thing about, number one, this song, but about Desz's performance. This song is a rangy song. You start really low, and by the time you get to the end, you're way up on the scale. Okay, it's like, oh my, it's incredible to me every time that I hear somebody sing this song, to hear where they start, to see where they end, and when they add a key change, it's like they go even higher. So it's absolutely incredible. Desz had this deep, rich alto voice that was just absolutely incredible at the beginning of this performance. The thing I loved about Desz, just as much or even more so than her vocal, and spoiler, her vocal is, I don't know how she didn't win that season. I have to look back and see who won that season. I don't know how she didn't win that season. That's how incredible her voice is. But what I loved even more than that was her confidence and her performance quality. She was giving a masterclass in how to perform, how to play up to an audience, how to play up to coaches, how to sell a song. Desz was giving a masterclass. The melodic choices and the come on choices that she was doing within the song were absolutely outstanding. I've said before, sometimes when folks do a song that I love a lot, I don't want to hear them change it a lot. But when you change it, make sure your changes are right. Desz made all the right choices. Every choice. Yeah, the vocals, the range, the key change, all of it. She had Kelly Clarkson and John Legend, who were coaches that season, losing their mind. Losing their minds. And they are not easily impressed. But she took us on a ride for this performance, and it was just simply outstanding. Last, we have Justin Aaron. Justin Aaron was a season 22 artist, and he sang the song for his Knockout as well.
Oh, please give me just one more chance for love.
I remember, since this was our inaugural season, I remember watching the B-roll and the rehearsal for this performance, and Gwen Stefani was his coach. And Gwen told Justin pretty much, you got to bust out. You have to perform this. You have to make an impact with your performance. You have to sell this song. You have to come out on this stage with energy. You have to make the audience like feel you for real. And that is what's going to, like, you have the vocal, but you have to show the personality and the energy in order for this song to make impact. Well, before the song, like as the intro was playing, before Justin even opened up his mouth, he was like, I said, oh, it's on. I said, oh, it's on. He has taken Gwen at her word. He has internalized the advice that she has given him, and he fitting to take us on a ride. And the whole time, it just felt like Justin was hollering at somebody, either one of the coaches or one of the audience members. He was doing the hand like he was actually talking to somebody. He was doing this little strut across the stage the entire time. And what was so cool is that it was so confident. It was understated. Like, you could not understated. You could tell that he was being himself. He was being the most personality forward version of himself in order to deliver. He wasn't doing too much. He was just being the most confident version of Justin Aaron performing this song where you have to exude confidence. And it was just like, oh, I see how you got that wife. Like, that's how I felt. I see how you got that lovely wife of yours. Because if you were talking to her like you talking to us through this song, then I understand how you got that lovely wife that you have on your arm still today, sir. Like, I get it. The vocal was impeccable, per usual. Justin Aaron's voice always reminded us of Luther Vandross, kind of in the timbre and the tone of it. There was also this undeniable gospel holleration that came out of his throat. He did the key change, just like Desz did the key change as well. He did the key change. It was just absolutely incredible. This is when I knew, though. This is when I knew that the coaches were feeling this. Camila Cabello was one of the judges or coaches that season. And at one point during the course, I'm not going to actually do it because it's going to mess up the sound and it's going to make the camera shaky. But if this was what the judges have in front of them as they're sitting on the chair, like the table, Camila, as Justin was performing, went. And when somebody does that, that means, oh, like, this is the table. When somebody smacks a table like that, and it's like, like, they're basically saying, this is good, this is good, this is good. You had John Legend going, anytime he does like this, I call it the swoop arm, that like you would do like somebody would do in church. That is how good Justin was singing. That is how good Justin was singing. That is how good Justin was performing this song. And Gwen could not be more proud. Gwen could not be more ecstatic. Like, those coaches could not believe. Justin said, come on, talk to me. Like, he was bent over, leaned over, talking to Camila, like, come on. And I was just like, eh. It was such a good performance. It was such a good performance. So, my winner for this performance is, I ain't picking one. I ain't picking one. I am not picking between Desz and Justin Aaron. And that is the first time I have not picked a winner for our Who Did It Best. This is the first time in the entire series where I have had a draw. I refuse to pick. If you want to pick, you can tell me in the comments below who you pick for Can We Talk. But I ain't picking. I ain't picking. There's no way. This one is a draw. This one, I'm not picking. No way, no how. Not going there, not picking. So you can pick if you like down in the comments. Okay, friends, thank you so much for joining me today. It has been so much fun going over these 3 songs and discussing them, these amazing artists and these amazing performances. So without further ado, I'd like to let you know the things that you need to know if you don't know them already. First, don't forget to follow and subscribe to the Pitchy Podcast on your favorite podcast platform. And while you're there, especially if you are on Apple Podcasts, please be sure to hit for 5 stars and give us a kind review so that more friends can find us. If you are listening to the podcast, hop on over to YouTube, search for the Pitchy Podcast, and hit that subscribe button and the bell so you know when we drop a new video. Don't forget, we are on Instagram and TikTok at The Pitchy Podcast, and we are on Blue Sky at thepitchypodcast.bsky.social for new episode alerts, episode clips, and so much more. And last, please remember, we are on Patreon. So many cool things over at Patreon, including bonus content from this episode, reactions that some of our patrons have sent me, videos they've sent me to react to. You don't want to miss those. And as season 28 is closely approaching, you will really want to think about joining our Patreon then, because we only give our fair, kind comments about the artists on the main feed. We get a little bit pitchier on Patreon. We're never mean. Let me make that clear. You're never going to go to Patreon and find us being mean to anybody, but we're a little bit more real on Patreon because we We appreciate and trust that community over there to listen to our realness and know the heart in which we are saying whatever we are saying. So if you want to join us over at Patreon, $5, you can join for free and get previews and get access to some of our content. But for $5 a month, you get all of our content. Thank you all so much for being a part of today's episode. And I hope you were truly a part of today's episode by telling me what you thought about my winners, telling me your winners, and let me know your thoughts on the episode. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.